Welcome to the channel, everybody, and welcome to UFL Showdown. I think we have some division games in here. And this is a game where things like this happen all the time. Now, this is pre-patch number 4, whatever, pre-March update that we're all waiting on pins and needles for. And here's the honest truth. The game is about 40% F right now. If we're grading it like a school paper, it's like a 40% F. It will improve to maybe like a 60% F, and that's giving it a lot of credit. As you see here, a goal that I scored, and yes, from the front angle, that would show you even better. That is going through the goalie. Go ahead and zoom in more. This is as much as I could zoom in, but that is a goal that's going through the goalie. You've seen the previous ball just bounce back and give my opponent a perfect breakaway, but this one's for me, so it's not just against me. And you guys know this. You guys have things happen for you, against you all the time. And it really doesn't matter how new the developer is, because at the end of the day, when players play a football game, they're not going to play a trash game just because the developers are new. They're going to choose the best football experience. And there's no way that this game can go forward even close to what it is now. And like I said earlier, if you gave this a paper grade like school, it would be a 40%. Even if we said that this, new update is going to increase the game 20%, give it a 20% improvement, that's still a 60% F. Even if you hate EA Sports and Konami and you hate FC and you hate eFootball, those games are far above a 60% F if you're giving it a paper grade. At the lowest, you're going to give those two games a C, and they're both higher than that, by the way. But even if you're the most supreme hater, you're going to give the games a C. UFL is just not even close to those games. By no means can you even give this game a D right now. And just take my word for it, you're going to see improvements from this update, but they're going to be minimal compared to what needed to be done. Now let's stick with this, it's a new developer deal, right? Let's stick with that. It still doesn't mean that after, 6-8 years in development, some of these bugs should still be in the game. Some of this nonsense, like the two things you saw before, even just the goalies and how bad they are, balls going through the goalies, balls going through defenders' legs sometimes. I could just go on, but we all know the nonsense in UFL. And 8 years or 6 years, no matter how new the development team is, if they couldn't fix these silly little things like the goalkeeper, which clearly over 6-8 years, whatever it was that this game was in development, they would have seen this over and over, and they could not fix the goalkeepers. They could not get a through ball right. Come on, guys. That should tell you right there. No matter how new the development company is, a lot of this junk in UFL shouldn't have made it into the first release, much less after several patches. And that's not even talking about the fact that this game's initial release was delayed because the game was way, way, way worse, right? Now, let's rewind a little bit back to the beginning when the game came out and everyone, including myself, was optimistic and happy about UFL. The reason why isn't because all these glitches weren't there and all of a sudden they showed up, right? Some of that happened. Absolutely. The game absolutely got worse, I believe, as they tried to fix things. But the reason why players, and I've said this in a previous video, I'll reiterate it, the reason why players were willing to forego all these goofy glitches is because they finally had an open football game where they could play any formation, any tactics, and as long as they utilize it correctly, they could play football. They could create scoring chances and score in any way that they could. There is no overpowered finesse shot or overpowered this or that. There's no overpowered AI defense like you have in eFootball, right? Everything was essentially created by you, and it was just a wide open game, right? There's no meta this, meta that. You could literally create any tactical setup you wanted and be successful with it as long as you utilize it correctly, right? Yes, the passes were locked onto the player. There's not much variety there. Yes, there was an OP over-the-top ball to the striker, but if you knew how to manually defend, you simply pull your center back, all the way back, and you could block that every time. That was the beauty of it. There was skill in how you defended and how you attacked. If you were a good player, you would do both of those well, and if you played another good player, it would be a fun battle between who could outdo the other guy. You see that he's a good defender, all right, so you have to mix up your tactics, or you have to mix up the runs you make or the passes you go for. You can't be predictable, right? And if you played an opponent that wasn't good at defense, you could slice them up and score at will. And this was unique because, as we know, FC pre-patch had terrible, overpowered AI defense, terrible spacing in the back line, and it created a game that was all about exploits to score goals, and people were sick of it. They put everything into this patch, and guess what? I strongly believe that they copied off of UFL and Strikers with the manual way the defending works, because they went directly for a total manual approach where all AI assist does is closes the distance down with the defender you're not controlling. If you do not take that defender over in FC now, you're going to get burned. That defender's not just going to tackle the ball. The opponent will go right by you. That was how it was in UFL. It had never been like that in FC or in that type of way. Even before, like back years and years when FIFA was better, this type of AI usage where you just closed down the space and then the defender sort of just stood there, meaning you had to take them over to truly make them defend, that was something that I had only seen and felt in UFL. Sure enough, FC takes it over and UFL goes in the total opposite direction and goes towards the broken defense that got FC and before that FIFA in recent years in big trouble with the player base. It made many quit, right? And it was one of the biggest things that led to the downfall before EA Sports had to, basically release a new game in the middle of FC 25. And then eFootball, everyone knows, has overpowered AI defense. Now, the more I learn the game, the more I understand more that it is a game where you have to utilize AI. That's part of the skill. So I do understand it more than I used to. However, for many players, it's just not their cup of tea. And that's where UFL had a unique lane and had all of, the players that wanted FC to be fixed, that were big-time creators or big-time players, coming over and at least trying UFL, right? Many were bullish about the game, even with all the nonsense. Everyone would always say, yes, it is not as good as FC overall. It doesn't have near the quality overall. But when you get out on the pitch, you can play open and fun football. And it's actually you playing, you earning victories in whatever formation, whatever tactics you want to use. Because remember, in recent years, there would be that one or two meta formation and meta tactics that you had to use to get those certain exploit goals. Otherwise, you would just get dominated. And that's, again, one of the biggest things that crushed FC. Now, where are we going to go with UFL? Only time will tell, but I have to be honest. I refuse to sit here and try to lie about the game just because, as a content creator, it's by far the game that gets me my most views, right? I'm still a very small channel. So for me, not to say that my UFL numbers are huge, but for me, they're huge. And I'm still not just going to BS because, the best game only gets me like 10% of the views that the worst game gives me. I'm going to be honest about each game. And we have to bring this up while we're talking about being honest. Let's just make believe for a second that this patch is coming and we know it's going to make the game an A+ game, right? And now we have this amazing UFL. It's an A+ game. It actually did crush FIFA and FC. It did crush eFootball. Now it's just the best game, on the pitch as the best gameplay. Guess what? It's still way too shallow. Once you get to Premier League, there's nothing. Even just grinding to stay on top of Premier League isn't worth it because you literally could play a million games, lose them all, and not get relegated. How do I know? Because I did it, right? I got to the point where the only time I was playing UFL is to conduct those experiments, playing players out of position, showing that skins didn't work, playing center backs all over, and just all that kind of thing. And so I basically gave games away over and over and over and over, and I'm still top 400 in the world or whatever it is, and I'm nowhere near getting relegated. I could do the same thing I've been doing 5, 6, 7 more times over and still not be relegated. So there's not even any type of urgency or competitive, drive that you have to stay on top, like to stay in the top division. Once you're there, you're just there. The rewards are absolute trash, and so there's nothing to play for. Even Showdown, like, what's the point, right? And that's what drives me crazy about some of these rats that will play, which I definitely faced a few, is that what are you doing? How is it worth your time to sit here and play like that just for a win, for these stupid rewards? Like, what are you doing? Not to mention everybody at this point, even if you just played the game somewhat, you didn't have to be hardcore grinding, and you still have a full team full of maxed out 91 rated players. So that leaves you with only one thing, trading out your 91 players for other 91 rated players, which you only want to do that so much, right? Or you may not. You may just be completely happy with your team, just like I was before I sold everyone out to do like all the experiment stuff. And then you're really, lost for anything to do. So just think about that. The game is only going to be fun to I just want to play. Just flip on a game, whatever. There's no rewards. There's nothing to play for. Who cares? No. Give me a break. If that was the case, then Ultimate Team wouldn't even be around. The reason why Ultimate Team did so well at FIFA and why companies like eFootball went that route and even UFL released the mode in this way is because players love the menu grind. Players love playing different modes so then they can get objectives done and get rewards and then, buy new players or earn new players. And the only thing UFL really has is vanity items, kits, right? Even if the skins get revamped, which they did, and they truly are like this incredible thing. You add them to your player, and your player gets these amazing boosts. Now it's worth getting these skin packs and this and that. It still isn't going to mean anything if all you use those skins and those players for is playing the game for nothing. No matter how good the gameplay is, eventually it gets boring. And guess what? You're going to go to another football game where the games have motive behind them, right? Where you actually have motivation to play more games, and then you get excited because guess what? Now I get this reward and that reward. And those rewards mean something, right? In UFL, that's not the case. And there's just not even any good modes that are going to be able to be played. Like even this tournament style thing for nonsense rewards, right? Let's just assume, right? Alleged nonsense awards in these new modes that are just garbage. It's not enough. That's not what we were talking about when we meant add modes. Like add a 2v2 mode before that. But anyways, the bottom line is I don't want anybody's hopes to get up because this game, even if it was a perfect patch, has a ton of issues, and it's far from perfect. So, does that mean I'm not going to play? No. As long as I have people who support me, support this channel, who are in this community that are playing UFL, I will be playing UFL. I will be covering UFL because I'm not going to, leave any players high and dry. But I'm also not going to lie to you and act like this is a better game than eFootball or FC. If you ask me the honest truth, even if this is, again, the game that's going to get me the most viewers and actually push me to this 1,000 mark and beyond and all this and that, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to sacrifice, my honesty just to get views and to get subscribers. So I'm not trying to be negative. I'm just being honest. With that being said, though, I will grind the game out, but it doesn't matter how far I get. It doesn't matter how many highlight reel goals and stuff I get. I'm not going to hide like the bad stuff from you too. Even though I don't put full games on here, I show you a lot of goals, and whether it's my opponents or mine, I'm still going to be honest about what I'm experiencing, about what's up with the game, about the direction the game's headed. Because these things need to get talked about. It doesn't matter if Strikers hates me or not. My goal isn't to make them happy. My goal is to try to help you guys as much as possible, including just being honest about the games you're playing. So, if you haven't tried eFootball or FC, I strongly think that you should. I strongly recommend that you should, I should say. And if not, so be it. And if you're enjoying UFL, who cares what I say? Then enjoy it. That's a beautiful thing. I will still be here covering it down to the last person playing or down to when they shut the doors on this game.